morning, everybody. This is Tea Time with Robyn. I'm T. I'm not T. She's T. I'm Robyn. That's Dean. We got Dean on board this week. Dean, our draft expert, is on board this week. T, I made you laugh. I can see that. Are you laughing out loud yet, or are you still Nope, you're still muted. Okay. Well, we're just going to do the show without you.
So now we switch. I'm Robyn, you're T. Okay, yeah. Awesome.
We got it.
We got it. Robyn, thank you. We are on the Building Buffalo Network. Like Robyn said, we have Dean, Mr. Draft King himself. But before we get into that stuff, we just want to do some housekeeping when it comes to the Buffalo Bills and the re-signing of Alec Anderson. How do you like that re-signing? Is everybody good with that?
Yeah. Oh, heck yeah. I thought it was a good signing. Yeah. The money was good too.
You know what I find so interesting is that I didn't really notice that he had this fiery thing inside of him. And I don't know what podcast I was listening to. It might have been Eric Wood saying that they like their centers to be more calm and more, woosah, right? And he's just not that guy. He's very fiery. And I'm like, okay, I guess I like it. I didn't think about it in that way. But I guess you would want your center.
T, if you watch hockey, he is the Brady Tkachuk.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I need to watch who Brady Tkachuk is. Yep. Awesome. Another thing that happened was Michael Hoyt is in Buffalo training along with other guys that's rehabbing in Buffalo. He stated his goal is to be ready by July 1st and maybe the beginning of the season.
Wow.
Love it. I know, right?
Love it. I'm a little worried though when he was on Eric Wood's podcast, right? Mm-hmm. And he was talking about taking his wife and going to Mexico on vacation. So
I don't think you should do that. Not right now.
I'm really kind of hoping they didn't make the trip.
I think they changed their minds. Let's hope so.
I choose to believe it. A Buffalo winter would be preferable.
Yeah. Or my niece, she's going to Rio for spring break. So, yeah. But let's get into some of this. The combine starts. Some of it starts today. I'm definitely going to be watching it. But
Big day today.
Dean has his board. Let me put it up. And we have questions.
Oh, man, do we have questions?
Yes, for sure.
And Dean, I can't thank you enough for coming on our show because I have so many questions. I know T has questions. I'm sure everybody who's listening has questions. This draft is so important.
Yes.
One of the problems with this is that last year 4 of our first 5 picks were in defense. I wouldn't be surprised if we weren't the same this year. Mm-hmm. Depending on what happens with free agency, we all would like a separator as a wide receiver. And after that, people say, well, the only other thing we're really concerned about on offense is if we do lose one of our offensive linemen, which made yesterday's signing of Anderson kind of curious. That might be the other kind of replacement, and 2 wide receivers in the draft isn't out of the question either.
Right.
The only other thing I've noticed is that and maybe this is the one I should show you first, is that the wide receivers that they went and looked at weren't necessarily the X receivers. Let me share this. I'm going to take you to the wide receivers here. Okay, that the ones that they actually didn't see at all this year in games, official games, were Denzel Boston and Kevin Concepcion. You'd think one of those would probably be somebody that you should at least meet with. Mm-hmm. Makai Lemon had only 1 scout at a game, and of course Tate and Tyson are inapproachable, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And my first official act is probably to move Malachi Fields ahead of Omar Cooper, just based on what we've seen so far. So he's probably going to end up being 40.
Who, Malachi?
Malachi is going to be ahead of Omar Cooper in my early rankings, and that's good because he's an X, and he's the highest of the frequently scouted X receivers on in this year. He's 6'4", 220, so he'll do just fine, and he's going to run south of 4.49. And that would be the only person that I would even consider in round one on offense.
I see you got Chris Bell up there. He's on my list too. Chris Bell.
Yes, he's the injured one, and he's 220, same as Fields, but shorter. They're going to run about the same, and they have about the same yards per catch against AP ranked teams. I would consider the advantage to Bell being that he is one of the best at deep route running. So he's going to be that AJ Brown kind of player.
Yeah. And he played in a pro style system too, right?
Yes. And we're either going to use a pro style or a multiple where you occasionally lapse into other styles, but I think that most of these guys are style independent when you're talking about wide receivers. So that's, any of them could do it. Do you want a kick returner, punt returner type? And if you do, then you're probably looking at Zachariah Branch in round 2, or you're looking at in round 2, Antonio Williams got a lot of looks, and Jeremy Bernard of Alabama had a lot. The only problem with that is that I think of Jeremy Bernard as virtually being Khalil Shakir, and I wouldn't want anything to affect the snap count for Khalil Shakir. So I'm not really interested in getting a slot type receiver, especially with Shakir there and Keon Coleman should be there, kind of thing.
Right.
The only other one that I would consider later on, if you were going to get a kick returning slot guy, might be somebody like Deion Burks of Oklahoma. So those are the ones that got the most games over here in this column right here. You see the ones that got the most scout action this year were Malachi Fields and Jeremy Bernard and Deion Burks, with Antonio Williams a close second with Zachariah Branch. Zachariah Branch might surprise everybody and be faster than anybody at the combine. I can't wait to see that. Today's defense day, though, and I really should show you defensively what I've been discovering. There are 3 kinds of. I'm going to scroll up. There are 3
but
kinds.
before you move on to that, John had a question for you.
Please.
John had a question for you.
I can switch back if you like.
Where do you place Chris Brazil?
Yeah. So yeah. I say Brazil, but it's probably.
I'm sorry.
It probably is somewhere in between, like Brazil or something. No visits this year by the Bills, and Chris Brazil is he's that same Concepcion type vibe, but it's really curious that they've stayed away from Tennessee this year, and it could be just coaching. It could be other reasons. It could be they know more about the locker room attitude there. I have no explanation for that.
That's
and also too, now that everything's different, so we're so used to and I know, Dean, you had to adjust. Did you adjust your board because of what the coaching staff changed, or did you just stick to the board?
Yeah, I started adjusting it yesterday because it's really important to me to know, okay, the players that got a lot of looks this year on defensive line were Caden McDonald of Ohio State, TJ Parker of Clemson, Kristen Miller of Georgia, Daryl Jackson of Florida State, who I think is ideal, but so does Robyn.
I do.
And the other one that got a lot of looks was Tim Keenan, also of Alabama. So
Gotcha.
all of those fit, and it's interesting that all of those have a second job if they go to a different package. So Caden McDonald can be a nose tackle in your regular package, your what we call tight. He can also be a heavy DI or heavy 4I, which is the strong side guy that lines up next to the nose tackle. So just like Ed Oliver, Caden McDonald can do the same thing, and he's heavier without a sacrifice in strength.
Wow.
So and TJ Parker can be a heavy 4I, that guy next to the nose tackle, or he can move out to strong side defensive end if you're playing in an even front. So there's always an extra thing that they do that makes most of them appealing.
Gotcha.
If the name is in green over here, it means I select them a lot for mock drafts.
Okay.
So that's Caden McDonald, Lee Hunter, Tim Keenan, and Chris McClellan, depending on what round I select them. And the ones that are in yellow, like Daryl Jackson, that was the highest ranked player on my board from that school, which would make you think, well, the scouts were going to see Daryl Jackson Jr. Most of all. So anyway, the positions that they seem to be shopping for all have the heavy DI or the heavy 4I player that can also play nose tackle. And I think that that's because they run a lot of games in this particular front. You might start out being the nose tackle, but you end up going to heavy 4I, and somebody else is shooting through your gap or covering your gap, so that they can get the most action. The get home rate is really key. Way over here in row P, I don't know if you can see these, but this 1.83 means that TJ Parker got home, either got a tackle for loss or a sack, 1.83 times per game over his career.
Wow.
Yeah. So you can see all of the other numbers are
way
a lot lower than that. And Rousseau's number was around 1 when he was in.
Okay. That's a good.
It's just sort of a great benchmark. You can see somebody like Dante Corleone getting 0.77 per game over his career. And Aaron Graves, who was a wrestler, getting 0.62 as an example.
I have a question, Dean.
Shoot.
Okay, the 1.83 looks like a statistical outlier almost.
Yeah.
And so when you see a number like that, do you, as the draft expert, do you go back and look and try to put context with that number?
I have looked. I have looked at video of him and to see if he got most of his sacks against good competition.
Oh, good.
And things like that. So yeah, and that's going to take me all the way up to April. That's a mega job.
I
So,
bet.
but
I
they're
bet.
looking. You
I
know that they're
would, when
looking
I
for.
see a number like that, that's the first thing I would do though. It's like, wow, okay, that's so far out there compared to the others. You would
Yeah,
want to like make sure that that wasn't some artifact or something.
yeah.
Wow.
You
I have
also
a
have to
question
check
as well.
conference. You know,
I
so
have a
you should
question as well.
check you should check the conference.
So,
Um,
Dean, I mean, I know Robyn, you had some questions, and I'm going to take one of them.
Yeah.
Who presents the best value for the Buffalo Bills in the first round? Do you think?
that's a great question. If you were looking at all of the um, let me phrase it this way: the best value in the first round is C.J. Allen,
Okay.
um, um, because it matches. That's the confluence of position that we need
Mm-hmm.
Right.
and player individual value, right?
Gotcha.
So I'm
Right.
really excited about him. I don't think Avion Terrell is going to be there, but I think another strong cornerback provides more coverage in the back end so that the front end can get home. That's
Gotcha.
the other way of looking at it is if you had
Mm-hmm.
really good, if you had three corners, you you'd be in good shape. But as far as best value in the first round, for me it's CJ Allen, and that's what this is all telling us. Because the only team that got 5 scouts at it was Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
R. Mason Thomas might start to move up. The reason that Grayson Halton is grayed out is that we don't need a 3 tech, but Grayson Halton might be able to play one of those 4I spots. And right now I have him ranked at 102, and so he'd be a third rounder, maybe even slipping into the beginning of round 4. So Deion Burks becomes your next your next guy kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
He'd be there,
Mhm.
and then Kendall Daniels is one of my favorite day 3 safeties, but I think that he's one of those that could play positionless safety, if you will, and that's why I like him.
I'm going to
No,
stop you right there
go
because
ahead.
that was one of my questions.
Yeah.
Who would be the best fit next to Cole Bishop available in the 4th round or later? So is this the gentleman that you would?
Yeah. Yes, I think that's their early on. I would not be shocked if Dylan Thieneman from Oregon was the pick, because he could play free safety, strong safety, nickel, corner, and we need at least 2 of those.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
but of all of the players that were scouted 3 times, yes,
Okay.
I love Kendall Daniels for that reason, and there's your Brandon Cleveland right there. NC State got scouted 4 games. They like Devin Marshall. If they traded away Knox, Justin Jolie in the 4th round would certainly make sense. But Brandon Cleveland would be my best guess of those 3, is the one that is the confluence of need and availability at a certain pick.
And going back to linebacker, John had put up here Anthony Hall Jr., and I have him on my draft board. I would say he was more of a mid to late round, 2nd round type of a guy. He can, was he ranked like top 5 in linebacker class?
Yeah, let's look at linebacker class, and I'll put up linebackers here, and this is an older board, but I'm gonna put them in number order. Here you go. There are so many good choices, and you can see that all of the names that are in green, those are all ones that I've picked quite often.
Mhm.
and over in this, the first 4, Reese, Styles, Allen, and Hill, all had 3 scouts at their games, and Kyle Lewis and Deontay Lawson got 4, and then you head into the day 4 kind of picks. You could be looking at somebody like Jayshawn Barham and Jimmy Rolder, both from Michigan, and those two got 3 guys at their games, and also Bryce Botcher.
Mhm.
Betcher, I think it's Betcher. Bet your bottom dollar.
Bet your bottom.
It 3. He got 3 as well. So of all of those, Jimmy Rolder and Kyle Lewis played the best game in front of the scouts. So I thought that was interesting.
It's interesting too, looking at that list, you see lots of the 4-2-5 that we were thinking might be the kind of linebackers that we would be looking for if McDermott was still the head coach.
Yes.
But does the body type or any of that change because it's going to be Leonard's defense?
Great question. The your strong side outside linebacker, the guy that's more to set the edge,
right,
and is kind of a coverage first linebacker. He's going to be 250 pounds, 265 pounds. Well, let me put these, sort them by weight for you.
Oh,
yeah. Where are the guys that are that big? Well, they're not that many in the early part of the draft, but you have like Nadamic Tucker of Western Michigan,
right?
No game scouted. Jaden Duggar, I think he's the brother of Duggar that plays Kyle Duggar, and he's no game scouted, but he's very slow. But the first one that they did scout, besides Jeremiah Alexander, and I don't think they were looking at him, he's a backup, is Lander Barton of Utah, and Utah should ring a bell.
Yeah,
so that's your 6'4", 242 pound guy. And the guy that scored, yeah, he's Tremaine sized.
Tremaine Edmonds, yeah.
And so that's Tremaine. But the one that's the ones that should attract our attention the most, based on the area of need, is Jake Golday from Cincinnati. He was scouted and had a great game for them. And Josiah Trotter, who I actually like better, he's likely moving up as well, and probably is on my master board. This is just linebacker. Okay. And Josiah Trotter is he plays with like his hair's on fire. He had a great game and has this number 3.17 means he's making 3.17 solo tackles per career. So those are wonderful numbers. If you're looking for somebody that's going to be a star, it's Josiah Trotter. And I like Jimmy Rolder from Michigan as well, as far as he can float around between the strong and weak offensive linebacker positions. The weak side offensive linebacker is usually the one that's blitzing, but not always. You want to make sure that he can chase and keep the backside contained. He's good at all that, and that would be a good weak side offensive linebacker. I think outside linebacker, and we'd get him like round 4.
Right. So there's a lot of edge rushers in this draft, and we need at least some, 2 maybe, because Joey Bosa probably will not be here next year. Robyn, I'm going to take one of yours. Top 5 best 5 edge rushers in this draft.
Best 5 edge rushers in this draft, and I'm going to suggest that all of those don't necessarily come from the outside linebacker position, but come from when they're in peso. And peso, I'll switch to that screen. Right here. Okay, so Yeah, you're seeing the correct screen.
Mhm.
So Zion Young would definitely be one of my choices.
Okay.
Gabe, and I think he pronounces it Yakis or Akis. He's a he is a wrestler as well. I would give you the name of also I give you Lander Barton as the later round one, but you're looking for early. Let me switch to the other side where they're usually rushing from. You have R. Mason Thomas, Cassius Howell, and then a second round choice would be just Joshua Josephs, and I adored Dennis Sutton. I think he's going to be a second round choice, and boy, I think we're looking for a second round choice when
For an edge rusher.
it comes. So the problem is you're going to be looking for what position am I weakest at up front, and I think they're going to fill that nose tackle with a veteran, like Roy Lopez.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of worried about the penetrating 4-eye on the weak side. That right now it would be occupied by TJ Sanders. That scares me.
Yeah.
But Hoyt could be that guy. Hoyt could be the guy that moves in, and you put Javon Solomon out on as the rush backer on the weak side. That would be another. One of those is, I think they're going to bring in a vet to compete with whoever they do bring in, and I think who they bring in will be early for that pass rushing ability. So it could be Jalen Phillips from free agency. You're looking at 17 to 24 million bucks
For Jalen Phillips from the Miami Dolphins.
Yep.
Whew, that's a hefty price for a guy.
That's heavy.
Yeah, for a guy who I know he stayed healthy last year, but I don't know about that one.
Yeah, I've heard that they're going to also look at Dorian Williams and Javon Solomon for that weak side cheetah role, jack role, whatever you want to call it.
I think Dorian Williams especially would be well suited for that position.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's got the speed and he's got the
attitude.
So that might be a good thing.
And he doesn't is see ball, get ball. He's that type of a player. He's not great in coverage, but he is great in getting the see ball, get ball for sure.
Yeah. And if I were having if I could find any other position for him, Dorian could be that weak side inside linebacker as well, where Terrell Bernard is right now. They're both, Dorian's a little bigger, but Terrell Bernard, if we can get the one that played for us 2 years ago, Terrell Bernard, that'd be the one to get.
Right. Yeah. And not
the other one that scares me is Mike. Right now, your Mike linebacker might be Joe Andreessen.
Yikes.
I'm okay with that, but you better bring in a vet there.
Yes.
And Leo Chenal's would cost you about $5 million per year. That's chicken feed for what you get. Can I say chicken feed, Robyn?
Yes, you may.
Oh, good. Okay. I was just gonna say
you could even say turkey.
The turkey, it's turkey feed. So if the people that say, well, CJ Allen is going to be the first round draft pick, we look to see if they bring in Leo Chenal. Because if they don't, I can guarantee it's going to be one of those guys, CJ Allen or Jake Golday from the second round, maybe Jacob Rodriguez, although he didn't get any scout visits, and then Josiah Trotter would also be a possibility. I've got him ranked round 2. Some people have him in round 3. So
I see that you have Nakobe Dean on here. I
just like the name. Oh no, okay, because I'm Dean. But no, are you going to keep? There, the signal will be if they keep Shaq Thompson, they won't have to bring in Nakobe Dean for $8 million, right? And there are other guys. But they might bring in a budget guy and then take somebody like Anthony Hill
Okay.
or R. Mason Thomas or Derek Moore or my guy Dennis Sutton could play there or out as a rusher. So
do you have
rusher.
Joshua Jacobs? Is that I'm saying that right?
Yeah, I think I had him. I think I had him up here, and Joshua Joseph.
I'm sorry, Joseph.
Yeah, so he could be a second round option also at your weak side rush backer, and then later on I like Mikel Kamara, and I love Kendall Daniels because of the number of positions that Kendall Daniels could play. He's sort of your like weak side linebacker, but he could also be strong safety. He could also be nickel corner. I think that he's one of those jackknife, Swiss Army knife players that they like in a tight front because they can move him around, and he's equally effective.
Right. I like that. I mean, if we go defense, I think people are going to lose their marbles because, everybody wants the Buffalo Bills to go wide receiver. And then they could go wide receiver, but I think if they do go wide receiver, me personally, I would want a vet. I don't want a rookie to come in here because the fact if a rookie comes in here, you're still set up. For me, your roster is still the same. I don't know if a rookie could come in here and elevate that wide receiver room. I want a vet to come in and, to elevate that wide receiver room.
Somebody with separation early.
Yes.
And so speed becomes a factor. If you get somebody that's as slow as Keon Coleman, you're going to end up with the results that you had with Keon Coleman.
Exactly.
Contested catch is just another word for he can't separate.
Yeah.
That's good.
He's really good at contested catches because he has to make them.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Keyword.
Okay. I got a question on offense, though.
Yep.
In this draft, better to draft the left guard or the center?
Yeah. So the signal by bringing in Anderson or re-signing Anderson makes me think that they wouldn't want him to be your center.
No.
So if he is your backup guard or even your starting guard, left guard, that tells me something. Maybe they are looking to. I think they're going to bring both back, but.
You think they can afford to do that? To bring Edwards in?
I think that all things are possible. You have Josh on your team because a team-friendly deal there by a restructure there and some other players that I've heard mentioned and so forth, you could end up with a good chunk of change. I do think that that's really important to preserve the ability to score points as part of your defense. We'll score more than you, so it doesn't really matter if we take up lots and lots of time, take 7-minute drives.
It's going to be a season in flux on defense, and I think we all have to accept that there isn't going to be a transition from a Sean McDermott defense to a Jim Leonard defense in one season.
No, yeah. I mean, he also voiced that as well. It's like it's not gonna the players that he has now is you're not going to try plan. Right. And maybe year 2 is when they start putting the players that he wants in. It was interesting to me to see and hear that that Brandon Beane had the thought of Johnson becoming a safety.
Taron Johnson, yes. That was interesting.
Right?
It also shows us that Taron Johnson is not going to be in the same position he was in last year.
Right.
I agree. Right. I agree. And I'm still working on that. I'm trying to figure out, okay, so who's your nickel? Is it Cam Lewis? Is it Taron Johnson? He's an 8.6 June cut candidate.
Mhm.
That's a hefty chunk of chains.
Mhm.
Cam Lewis would be 1.5 million, and Jordan Hancock is your incumbent.
Right.
Mhm.
But if Jordan Hancock's over here, where's Taron Johnson? Well, Taron Johnson could be over there. He's one of those players that you could write in right here. You know, he could go either way, and if they can disguise what he's doing, if he's a chameleon,
Right.
that's a good place. That's a good place for him.
Mhm.
And Leonard loves that kind of chameleon stuff.
Yes, and that to me would be a good
That's
use for somebody like that, or somebody like him.
right.
I love this. I love Cameron Curl as a possibility. I think he's 10 million.
Mhm.
Um, Andre Cisco is another name.
Mhm.
They're 4 million. So
Andre
I
Cisco,
don't
he
think
plays
you're
for
keeping
Tennessee.
any of the $1 million guys, DeMar Hamlin, Jordan Poyer.
Yeah, no. DeMar Hamlin's
Maybe
gone.
Cam Lewis because of his flexibility.
Maybe.
Yes. And Cam Lewis comes in when Taron Johnson is injured.
So
Right.
he's had the experience. Don't
Yes.
change
And
what you
he's
can't.
UB.
You don't have to, you
Yeah.
know? So where do I think there are enough good safety prospects in the draft that you could pick up somebody, but not for the first season. So I'm guessing that even if you took somebody like Dylan Thieneman in the first round, you'd still would want a vet in there. That's
Especially, yeah, because
not
Cole
Jordan
is still
Hancock.
young.
Yeah.
Cole is
Yeah.
still young too. So having a savvier veteran, look at what happened when we put Jordan Poyer in.
Absolutely.
It was career altering for Cole
And he
Bishop.
didn't have to do too much thinking, Cole Bishop.
No,
You've seen in the first season, he was lost. Let's
was
be honest. He was very
everything.
lost. This year or last year, it seems like he was very comfortable in his role. And
Right.
I mean, thanks to Jordan Poyer for that. So
Right.
and it just goes up from, you think it will just go up from there.
So look to the veterans coming from odd front teams. That might be a thing to do.
There's a veteran. His name is Locke. I don't remember his first name, but he played for Denver.
Drew
He
Lock.
was
Does that sound familiar?
no, that's a quarterback, I think. No,
Oh,
his
you're
last
right.
name is Locke, but he played for Jim Leonard last year. He was the third safety, and they think that he was going to be available. I heard that somewhere, and I was intrigued by that because if he played with Leonard, that would be really helpful
Yeah.
to bring him over and put him up with Cole, and let's go.
Yeah, PJ Locke.
No, I was looking up to PJ Locke.
Yeah.
Okay.
PJ Locke, and that was in 24 and 25, so that would be ideal. That's a great. I mean, I love that.
PJ Locke, that's my thinking.
Yeah, that would be a good. That would be a.
Well, you do know he's going to take from some guys over there in Denver. He's going to try anyway. He's going to definitely try.
He's going to try to bring his people.
Yeah.
That would be a great. That would be a great one to choose. That was my reason for thinking that maybe you bring in the defensive lineman John Franklin Myers, and that's why I put John Franklin Myers up
right
here as the 4-eye penetrator side guy, because that solves your TJ Sanders being your starting 4-eye right away, and then you can bring in somebody later somebody I like Rayshon Benny in day 3 or day 2.
I have to say good morning to my mom. That's my mom right there.
That's your mom. Mama,
morning,
we
Mom.
love you.
You did good, Mom.
Mom did really good.
Oh, she would be so happy.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. No, you could do. That's the thing that they're going to be doing all week, this week, and for the next 2 months is they're going to look at, okay, who do we have in the main role? Would a vet if a vet is your solution, you could probably wait to day 3 to get somebody that's got high upside, or do I need somebody high ceiling that we need to plug in and play sooner than later? And that'll be the problem.
Okay, I have a question from you.
Yes.
When you look at scouting, and you always do, like, where were the scouts at this year? Because of the switch in the system, are you ranking that importance less this year because there's a change?
Yeah, that's exactly what I've been scrambling with, and that is because there's so much going on and so much in flux on the defensive side, where the players and what Bean said yesterday was we want guys that are good football players, and I think that makes me think that some of the defensive players that they
scouted
looking, that didn't seem like ideal fits.
Are now ideal fits. That's what
Armisen Thomas isn't a perfect fit, as a good example,
right?
But he's more of a good fit because he's a good football player, and he's just produced.
And that's why I truly believe Deion Walker was not a Sean McDermott pick, because he's not
interesting.
He's not your typical, even though he's fast, even though he's light on his feet, but Sean McDermott like those versatile type of players, and lean type of players, and Deion was not that. He's not that.
That's true.
That's true.
It's true. The one criticism I've heard about Deion Walker over any other is that you can see under NT anchor there, it says you have to be under 6'3". And Deion is going to let people get under his
under his pads,
and he's top heavy. He's got really skinny legs for a guy.
That's why it's interesting to see what he does this offseason, Robyn. Does he come in with?
He's going to have to change his body,
some lean on him,
lean him up on top and build up his legs.
Yeah.
Because if you look at his legs, he looks really light in the legs.
They're chicken legs for sure.
He's got chicken legs. God bless him.
Well,
350 pounds.
Chicken legs.
I like him on the strong side as a 4-eye, and that is.
That's where you might use him.
You could switch these around.
He can move his feet. He can move his feet.
Yes. So the block eaters type are 6'6". They are 300 plus to be that archetypal player on the strong side.
But they're not that tall.
That what you're saying is I could actually even do this. I can put Ed Oliver here and put Deion Walker here. And that actually solves a problem for me, because now I can take Brandon Cleveland on day 3 and develop him. Keyshawn Silver is another one late that I like.
There you go. I mean, if a nose tackle is ideally under 6'3", that is not Deion Walker.
Yeah. And Ed Oliver is so good at bending the knee.
Yes.
That's a good one. And the guy you just signed, Fedarian Mathis, is also would fit in that role.
Yep, he would.
Or not. So
now, do you think that signing would have happened with Sean McDermott?
Well, he was brought in under Sean McDermott.
Okay.
Fedarian Mathis, they call him Phil. So it's like they would have brought him in because they did.
Gotcha.
So that solves a problem. Thanks. I'm very happy. Now I've got Deion as the quintessential block eater 4-eye, and I still am going to think that they're going to bring in somebody like Roy Lopez or I don't know, DJ Reader, somebody like that.
I think so. But that's where Deion would fit better, because he tackles high too. So just like John Roberts, Exactly. So
Mhm.
that's good if that works out better on your board.
Well, the other name to think about, if you're thinking about doing it that way, is that Grayson Halton, who can be an NT or a 4I on the strong side, becomes more of a valuable piece, and that's he's one of the guys that got scouted the most. So
Oh,
that begins to make more sense to me too. I like Daryl Jackson a lot and Tim Keenan a lot. So the difference is that Daryl Jackson is going to occupy your second round pick, which you may not have if you're still trying to get a wide receiver. But Tim Keenan might go third, fourth round and makes more sense. And then
yep.
Brandon Cleveland, if you bring him in, he'd be like one of the later round picks,
Gotcha.
likely fifth because we don't have a sixth.
I did not know Roy Lopez is with the Detroit Lions. I have to look into him.
So he's
Yeah,
definitely
me
one
too.
to watch some film about, because that's a
Will.
good one.
Okay.
And then I've been looking at some highlight film of James Thompson Jr., and he sure looks like he could play ball in the middle of a tight front as well. So there are always these guys you can get maybe in that seventh round, because we have 2 picks within 8 of each other in the 7th
Mhm.
round, and then UDFA, you can bring in a preferred free agent.
Do you see us falling back in the draft to get more picks?
I see us trading out. Let's say the Jets don't want to take a quarterback early, and I hate trade with the Jets, but if we trade back to pick 2 in round 2, and get another pick. We'd have 2 second rounders, and likely we would have 2 fourth rounders.
Yeah, because right now we have 7 picks, right?
So right now we have 7.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 7.
Mm-hmm.
I could see him doing that.
I mean, they got a pick for the Jets in round 7 in Dallas. So Brandon Beane loves his picks. I mean, his draft picks. So he'll make some of that happen.
Just hope he's better at picking in the second round than he has been.
This is why I think the round 1, I think, is a toss. A toss out for me.
They might trade back.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things we could do, if you want, is we could go to the new FanSpeak simulator and see who's there.
It's up to you guys.
I'd be interested in trying it out, only because it would be here. I'll show you what it looks like here. Okay, the Bills would be picking, going 7 rounds. I'm going to put up my board, which is there, and
this is so cool.
Start. All right, so
wow. I'm losing my mind.
One of the things I've noticed is that now and then somebody really good falls to you, and it's because of greed up top. Somebody's
Yep.
Who thought that Caleb Downs would fall to us, right?
Right.
What's really interesting is that of the people that are here now, you have Ohio State, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Penn State, and Alabama. All of those were scouted really, really high. Like Penn State is the lowest, and that's had 2 games scouted.
They only did that.
They were looking at Vega Ioane. So Vega Ioane would be that left guard for that would make Pro Bowls and be your left guard for a decade kind of person. But and Caleb Banks falling down to 25 would be like a godsend. He'd probably your best combination of nose tackle, strong side 4-eye that you could get. So I'd even go down that far. But Caleb Downs is going to be a Pro Bowler, and I find it very silly that he's there. But that would be a good example. We don't have to do the whole draft, but I was just thinking it was kind of interesting to see what
for sure.
What might be there, and it'll all be based on obviously if people are going for best player available, or are they going for needs on their first pick?
Right.
Exactly. Or
the
Detroit Lions, who notoriously pick weird.
Yeah. Who's that? Detroit Lions?
Oh, right. Yeah. Taking Jack, I'll never forgive them taking Jack Campbell in the first round.
Yeah.
The Bills have the opportunity to go and get a funny thing is go get Teller again. Wyatt Teller.
Yeah. He comes back around.
Right?
Somebody went, I think he had 2 Pro Bowls and 36 games started after he left us. So that we're all kind of scratching our heads about that one. So.
Yeah.
Well, what other questions might you have? I have one comment that I would like to make, and that is that there are some players that are heavily scouted by the Bills that are kind of positionless players. R. Mason Thomas, of course, is the best example. But you also have combination packages like Kyle Lewis. I've seen him as a pass rushing outside linebacker. I've seen him as a strong safety, and he'd be like he's top 100. But chances are that he could be there in the 3rd round when the Bills are looking.
Wow.
All of the ones that are kick returners that kind of floated up to the top, like Keontae Scott in the 2nd round. He's your nickel corner. He's your kick returner. He's your punt returner. And the other positionless player that I mentioned before is Dylan Thieneman, who could be the front either safety or nickel corner. And he could work his way in, if need be. And most of the guys you're seeing here that are one techs can also play the 4-eye. So there are lots of positionless players that are out there that were all scouted 3 times or more.
I see on your board you have maybe I bypassed it or whatever. You have no running backs.
Yeah, and the only running back that got scouted, or 2 running backs that got scouted a lot. 2nd rounder is Jadarian Price, and he's a kick returner, and Jamari Taylor, who's a day 3 guy from Virginia, and they haven't been to Virginia in 2 years, and they show up here in the 3rd year and scout Virginia 4 times.
Oh,
so
wow.
Jamari Taylor is one to keep an eye on. Yeah. I don't see any other running backs that got a lot of looks. Very early, Nick Singleton got some looks at Penn State, and Nick Singleton might be the fastest running back. So that's to keep that in mind. That gives you a player that's kind of gives you something you don't have.
Gotcha.
And
power back. I got a power back here. Mark Fletching. Yeah. Whatever. Doesn't matter. He's from Miami. So.
Yeah. Running backs. Let me put this up. Boink. Okay. So the ones that got the most love were Jeremiah Love, Jadarian Price, Adam Randall from Clemson, and Jamari Taylor from Virginia. I'm trying to think. Might be somebody that ends up falling out of the draft and you pick them up later. There are some that Bill scouted a lot that are down further down, and I'm not seeing the one that. Are you talking about Rasul Faison from South Carolina? Maybe.
Yes.
Yeah. So the reason that I highlighted him is that he's kind of a bull, and is pretty good at pass blocking, which is really helpful when you have Josh Freakin Allen. So there is that. He in the game against Virginia Tech, he had a 5.7 yards per carry average, and that was this year. Impressive in his agility, acceleration, and vision. And he had 135 yards on 27 attempts and a touchdown in a second game as well. So yeah, that would be your value pick right there, and you could probably get him for free agency.
Right.
That's the thing. He made the Senior Bowl too. That's always a good sign. So he could be your last pick as well. That wouldn't surprise me in the least.
Gotcha.
So,
well, I have no more questions unless you have some, Robyn.
I'm good, but I just wrote down so much stuff. I'll have more questions. So we have to get Dean back again.
Yes.
Yeah. As we get closer to it, there'll be more scenarios, I think,
and more tells that there will be. After the combine, you will see who visit with the Bills, and the visits will come in, and we got to have you on to see. We got to match it up.
Well, there's lots that you don't see here, and if you want to have me back, that's fine.
For sure.
And we'll do the war chart next time, and we'll
that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Do an official mock draft that we.
Yes, we got to do a mock draft.
Yes.
Because you're I only do the mock draft with you. Like I did one last year, and that was you did it. So I don't do them on my own. I do it. We'll do it on
that's cool
on the podcast. Yeah,
well, it's fun it's fun to chat with you, and I hope that people follow me on X. I think that TC Bills _Astro will get it done, and people have asked if I'm sharing the information this year, and I've been pretty guarded about it until after the combine. I think that'll be more tells. And T, I want to tell you, I appreciate it when you find out information like you did about the player that was was chatted to at the combine. I am paying for information this year. Alex Katson, Katson, tells us where the Bills go for their pro days, and I follow that, and I follow about 1,000 college media people, so that I know if somebody like the Bills comes to their organization, and I'm not shy about asking if they don't publish it.
I mean, on my Facebook page, if you guys don't know, anybody in the chat has not followed me on Facebook, we have a pod page over there, and I put anything I get from the Buffalo Bills, I put it on there. And thank you, Dane, because you always are in the comments, and I appreciate that too. So whatever I do get, anything I do find out, I post it up there. I'm not too, when it comes to Twitter could be like a funny space. So I don't really post too much with that stuff, but I do on Facebook for sure.
Yeah, you take the bitter with the sweet with that platform. I find that I get more information from colleges through there. That's my only excuse for going there. But
well, Robyn, get us out of here. Dean, thank you again. We appreciate your knowledge when it comes to
welcome.
this.
We are so grateful.
I love doing it.
Yes.
Well, you'll be back hopefully soon.
Thanks. For sure.
Thank you.
Well, I'll get us out of here.
Sorry.
This has been, you're good. This has been Tea Time with Robyn. We are on the Build in Buffalo Network. Go over there and check out some amazing content. We are not here next week because, I mean, there's not a lot to talk about. But when some news do drop, we are coming on here and we're going to break it. But as of right now, today, thank you guys. And always,
Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Thanks,
Peace, y'all.
Dean. Thanks,
Hey.
Dee.
Yep. Peace
Love
out.
you guys.
Love you too.